So good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be getting some donuts because I have people coming over to help me move tomorrow. And with that, I wanted to, be able to treat my friends and family because if you're going to come help me move, I am going to provide you food. And none other than the best donut places in the area of southern New Hampshire is Clem's Bakery in Windham. Clem's Bakery in Windham, which, I'm not trying to serve this as an ad because, they're not sponsoring me or anything, but they make great donuts and they're very underappreciated. And honestly, I think a lot of people don't really even know they're there because they're kind of in like a little hole in the wall type area, and, you'll see that today. But today we're driving the 2026 Mazda CX-50 2.5S Preferred. So this is the mid spot in the naturally aspirated Mazda lineup, where we have this 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder making 187 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque, paired to a 6-speed automatic and all-wheel drive. And I've had the pleasure of driving it the last few days. I do have some thoughts. This won't be a full comprehensive review because I really didn't get to spend much time with the car. It really just kind of served the purpose of, this other announcement which I'm about to make. But, we kind of just needed a car for a few days before we get rid of, our 2017 Volkswagen Jetta, and before we get the U-Haul for our move. So with that, yes, we got rid of our 2017 Volkswagen Jetta. The Mach-E is coming with us on this move to South Carolina, but the Jetta, it has served its purpose. It's served its time in our family, and we're going to be upgrading the stable there. And so the Mach-E will also be going at some point in the fall, likely September, between there and November. And, with that, we will basically have 2 new vehicles in our lineup. So I'm excited to share those with you. And to be honest, I don't even know what they are yet, so don't ask. So we have this Mazda CX-50 for a couple days, and I do have some impressions of this interior. Although I really do like the steering wheel here where it's leather wrapped. It feels very high quality. It feels nice. We have the buttons all in the right places, including our cruise control on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side we have our volume controls and the ability to take calls. That's all nice, but the one thing that is kind of bothering me is the lack of a touchscreen, and I mean in this case it's so far away you wouldn't be able to touch it anyways, but we have this little wheel down here which controls our infotainment screen. It's just not very convenient to use. And honestly, I have never really had Mazda products. I don't really drive a ton of their cars, so I'm not really used to this type of setup. I don't think I would mind it if I spent every day with it because I would get used to those controls, but I find myself distracted a lot with controlling and engaging with the screen. As if it were a touchscreen, it would be a lot less steps too. As far as these seats go, they're a combination of leatherette and cloth, and they do contort to your body really well. The front driver's seat here has electronic adjustments, so you can really get comfortable, get in a nice driver's position for you, and that is no problem whatsoever. But what I do have a problem with is just this legroom. The footwell is really small, and up here because of the door card and the handle here kind of extending into your room. I'm not sure why we have a handle right here. Like, am I supposed to grip this while also driving? It really doesn't make any sense. And then the infotainment stack just has this incredibly large middle part here that kind of extends itself out from the center console. And I just really feel like on a long road trip, I would be kind of bothered with the lack of legroom in here. And I'm sitting here looking at the passenger side, which clearly has more room, and I'm like, why? I mean, you're guaranteed to always have a driver, but you're not always guaranteed to even have a second passenger. But I think over the years, I've just been a little spoiled with EVs. EVs tend to have a lot more legroom because there's no firewall. They can really extend out that dashboard and have a better use of space overall. And driving the Mach-E for a few years has definitely opened my eyes to, kind of the lack of room in the mid-size SUV market. And that always makes me think of like, oh, maybe this is why everybody buys gigantic SUVs, because those come with more legroom for your driver. Because if you think of the Telluride, the Palisade, and then some of our American options, such as like the Tahoe, Expedition, even the Escalade, like those are all associated with having high amounts of room, lots of legroom, even for the driver. And I think that's just what people, that's what people go towards these days. I mean, look here, we have Grand Cherokees, we have a Q7. Back there we had, a bunch of gigantic trucks. And it's like, of course people are buying these because they're just more comfortable. And so I think some manufacturers need to take a hard look at, the legroom they're providing for drivers. And especially in terms of the United States where, road trips are a huge part of our culture. We spend tons and tons of time in cars. And so having the added legroom, especially in terms of like widths where you kind of like stretch out on a long road trip, that's very important to me. And so the CX-50 is obviously in this mid-size crossover segment. And I think it's fairly good looking, especially in terms of the rest of their lineup outside of the Miata. I had the pleasure of driving a CX-30 about a few months ago for a work trip, and that car just felt like a squashed bug inside. This one definitely has a bit more room. You can definitely tell, especially in terms of the driver. Give it a second here to check out the backup camera. Pretty high resolution, although that screen kind of shrinks. And I think that's to, keep the quality rather than stretching out the image, which I appreciate. You do have, a standard like square, but it doesn't rotate with how you turn your wheels, so that part's pretty interesting. And so for fuel economy in here, you can expect to average about 26 miles per gallon combined. But I think if they added a turbo or, had a CVT in here, you would definitely do a bit better in the fuel economy way. But then again, I do appreciate the traditional 6-speed automatic. It's pretty good, especially because you can shift it yourself with this little gear selector here. I will say that this car is incredibly slow, so don't expect to be doing any sort of drag racing in this thing. Even merging on the highway is quite a laborious task for this naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. If you want a little more power in your SUVs, definitely go with the turbo options there. And so we're at Clem's now, but I feel a little weird with recording while there's like tons of people around me. So I'm gonna go over to the slot over here real quick, and we'll take a quick walk around of the car. Yeah, so as I said before, we have this pretty green color. For 2026, they didn't really do much updating to this car as far as the exterior looks. We still have the same plastic cladding, black wheels on this one, which look pretty nice, especially with that black plastic cladding. Then the front grille has some black fascia to it as well. And I mean, we do have LED headlights, which look good. Of course, the side profile is the same for these CX-50s. And then in the back here, nothing new, dual exhaust setup, all-wheel drive badging. We do have these weird vents on the side, which look quite odd. But yeah, I mean, CX-50, say what you want about it, but it is a fairly good looking crossover, especially in the, lower $30,000 price point, which this preferred trim sits at. Alright, so we're at Clem's now. I'm going to go run in and grab some donuts, and I'll be back. Alright, so we are back. Got our 2 dozen donuts here. Got a little bag for today. I have a bunch of people coming over to help me, so yes, I just spent $50 on donuts. As far as these back seats, they are very usable by 4 adults. Of course, that middle seat has a little hump in the middle, so you won't have much room there for a 5th adult, but would still be occupied by a kid just fine. So one thing that I think is really weird in these Mazdas, well, at least the CX-5, I don't really know about the rest of their lineup, is we have one button that basically controls all of our safety functions. And the problem with that is I just want to get in the car and turn off lane keep assist. And I want to keep blind spot monitoring on, and I basically want to keep the rest of the functions on. At least as far as like emergency braking and whatnot. But basically that button controls them all. And in order to turn off just lane keep, you have to dig through your settings and turn that off, which, as a car guy, as someone who drives a lot of cars, that's not really a problem. But if you think of like elderly people, for instance, who, is a good part of Mazda's demographic, they will have a hard time figuring that out. And yes, maybe in a lot of cases they leave lane keep assist on because they like the wheel being yanked out of their hand every time they touch a line. But I think it is important to make things like that very accessible for people, very easy to find. Anyways, the rest of the controls in here are very easy to use. We have, physical HVAC buttons. We have our heated seats down here. We do have volume control here and on our steering wheel. It's still a very ergonomic car, easy to figure out, easy to learn if you have never been in a Mazda product. And yes, I do have a few complaints about it, just because I'm not very familiar with Mazdas, and I kind of had to get used to this car over the last few days. And so I'm coming in with a new perspective rather than one of a longtime Mazda owner. Some other nice things I can say about it is that we have great visibility, we have blind spot monitoring on our mirrors. Overall, this feels like a very safe vehicle for someone who is a new driver. Our infotainment screen shines bright even in bright situations. So I think 0 to 60 was in the 7-second range. Obviously a very slow car. And like I said before, if you do have a need for a faster SUV for whatever reason, in my case, I would just like to have the added, passing power, especially getting on the highway. I just find it really annoying when I'm sitting there like trying to rev a car out to 6,000 just to be able to merge on the highway at a safe speed. But I think I would opt for the turbo models. I just, obviously you have to spend a little bit more money to get some of those. But overall, for value proposition, I do understand why people buy these. They're not personally my cup of tea. I don't like the styling as much as some other people do. But I do think the CX-50 is one of the more handsome SUVs on their lineup. And I think even with the plastic cladding, it doesn't look like a cheap car. This really does feel like a low $30,000 price point vehicle. So I completely understand why people like these and why they've grown more popular in the market over time. And so my Beyond the Test Drive folks, which shout out their YouTube channel, they make great content, especially with Mazdas, as I believe they own 3 of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think they used to own a Mazda 3. I know they currently have an ND3 Miata. They also have a CX-70 or a 90, I forget. Sorry guys, I do know you have 2 to 3 Mazdas in your stable right now. But yeah, if you are interested in more Mazda content, because there's not much of it on my channel, definitely check out and subscribe to Beyond the Test Drive. I consider them a, family friend of the Auto Joe YouTube channel. Anyways, while we're stopped here, let's check out some drive modes. We have Sport, Normal, and Off-Road. I would basically spend all my time in Normal. I just feel like, the transmission needs to kind of be out of your way. You don't want to be hanging onto gears a little longer than you want to, especially because this 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder doesn't sound all that good. When you rev it out, it's just not very pleasant. It's not a very refined engine in my opinion, especially in comparison to some of the more luxurious SUVs on the market, such as the Q5 with the 2.0 0-liter turbo 4, things like that. I always just think of those engines because even when you rev them out, they feel smooth, they sound, good. It's just an overall a lot better of an experience, pushing that engine. But I still think with normal driving, you're using this as a, A to B commuter. It's going to do that very well. You're going to be very comfortable in this car. And you have all the bells and whistles such as keyless entry, push button start. You have the great infotainment screen with the Apple CarPlay, which hooks up wirelessly and seamlessly. We've literally had no problems with Apple CarPlay in this CX-50 the entire time we've had it, which is great. And although I don't like that we don't have the option for a touchscreen, like you can't just, come here and push buttons, I think people would get used to the wheel setup, get very familiar with how to access things more quickly, and so that is not a large complaint of mine, even though I still have it. Thank you all for supporting my channel, especially with this move. I don't currently have any sort of dealership network hooked up down there, so we're definitely going to have to do some self-marketing, some self-advertising. So if you are in the South Carolina area and you have some cars for me to review, definitely send me an email, hit me up on Instagram, we can make something happen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.